Auld Lang Syne, baby.
What a year! Are you?
What a year it's been.
I'm sitting here. I've got an old man in a top hat next to me, and then on the other side of me, I've got a baby in a top hat.
There you go. That's it.
And so we got old man 2020 is dead and gone, and little baby boy 2021 is here.
Fresh and placebo has been born.
Yeah, he just popped him out of there. He came out with the.
This might be morbid. Yeah. Oh, sorry, placenta. Wait, hold on.
He came out with a sugar pill, and he said, "I think this is real."
Yeah, this is more real than the vaccine.
Exactly, it's hydroxy. He came out with some hydroxy.
Yeah. Wait, this might be morbid, but what exactly killed Old Man 2020?
It was COVID. He was the final COVID death of the year.
Oh no! Yeah, 11:59. He's like hooked up. This is bad. Okay, I'm not gonna say anything. Because my grandparents know people who have died. Like I can't. Like it's just.
Yeah. Well, anyway, what a year it's been. Am I right?
Yeah. By the way, if you're listening for the first time, this is Style Direction, a menswear stream. God, we have it so often.
Twice a week, in fact. Wednesdays and Saturdays, 8 p.m. Pacific.
That's right. But you're listening to the podcast. It's weird also with the whole Ivy. Again, you guys can watch the YouTube canon for the whole Ivy style stuff. But I remember they were like, oh, what podcast does it? I'm like, well, first off, that's not the podcast. That was the stream. That's not the same thing. But I know a lot of our fans do say
it's like Steamboat Willie and Mickey Mouse. They're two different characters.
That's right.
Stream Spencer and Ethan, and then podcast Spencer and Ethan. Different.
And they've never been in the same room.
No. You guys remember that Michael Bay movie, The Island?
Oh yeah.
With all the clones. We got clones that do the Twitch stream for us.
And when we need the organs, we're gonna take it from them. And I take from you your spleen. I take from you your. By the way, you can watch our Wonder Woman review on YouTube. That's on there. But no, I think a lot of our fans, and I say that kind of loosely, but I know a lot of people like they consider the stream pod the podcasts.
They like, consider the stream pod. Okay.
Yeah, podders. But yeah, it's been a fun. I wouldn't say fun year, but it's been an interesting
So if you
time.
look at just this podcast, it's been a pretty cool year, and nothing else. But I mean, yeah, we started the Patreon this year. We got our Discord up and running, which has been it's exceeded expectations. It's going great in there. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's and there's a lot more to come next year.
That's right. We got some cool plans, and by that I mean very loose ideas of things that we want to do next year.
Yeah.
We might bring back. So speaking of 2020, we were able to have a couple of guests on, which we hadn't had in a long time. We brought in our good friend Young Chomsky for a 2-part episode. Unprecedented. Yeah, it's
I don't think it's have we not done a 2-parter? Was one of the Gooch ones a 2-parter?
No,
we just recorded like 3 of them in the same day. So
we did like 2 in the same day, and then like 1 like the next week after, and yeah. But no, yeah, it's a fun conversation with Young Chomsky, and then I wouldn't say based on that success, but we did bring our friend Aldris on to talk about watches, and that wasn't really an interview because we've interviewed him in the past, but he has to have some a familiar face digitally in front of us on Google Meets. Actually, not because we couldn't get his
camera to work. We got to hear a familiar voice.
Yeah, not only could we not get it to work on Google Meet, it did not work on Discord. In fact, it would shut down.
It crashed his computer. It crashed his computer anytime he tried to use his camera. It was weird. We video chatted with him like before. Like we did it a couple days before we recorded the episode to like plan the episode. That's right. It was working fine, but that day it's just kind of fun.
It was
podcasting, am I right? It's a crazy business.
Yeah. Podders. But yeah, if you guys are interested in supporting us, the Patreon again is up to you guys. It's always, we're gonna continue to bring you these episodes on menswear topics, on stuff like influencers, even though that's done now, and I can never talk about it again. But yeah, patreon.com/downdirection. We are very, I didn't expect this many people to contribute. I thought it's just a place. If you build it, they will come, and we're very happy that a lot of people, especially frequent contributors to Sad Head Saturday, they've been putting their money to our bank accounts, I guess. And then especially the Discord has been really great. Lots of great, we've been playing Among Us a couple times in there. Sometimes we just chill out after the stream. So if you really want to get in the real conversation, Brita Unfiltered, you can go to join the Patreon, and you'll get to join the Discord. Other things for this new year, you're looking at one of the new logos, kind of like Geico. I have mentioned this before, how Geico has like 5 different spokespeople.
They do have too many. They have too many people.
And I say that even though
many people at once.
Yeah, actually, has there ever been their spokespeople in the same ad?
Oh, I don't think they've had like all of them. Wait, didn't they do something where they were like vote for your favorite Geico spokesperson, and then they were all like the fucking Hump Day donkey was like stepped on the gecko or something? Is that something that happened? Did I say Hump Day donkey?
Yeah, what's that?
It's not a donkey, it's a camel. Donkeys don't have humps. There's one animal that famously has humps. It's not a donkey.
I thought you were making like some sort of bit or like a joke. I was okay, all right, Hump Day donkey, all right.
It's a donkey.
In my head, I saw donkey. Yeah, I'm a Shrek. I'm a donkey, Shrek. That's an Office reference. It's a good one. But yeah, you're looking at the new logo, or the new album cover, I guess, that we've debuted.
Podcast
Actually, if you were in
art.
the Discord, yeah, podcast art. If you were in the Discord, I teased this like last year, but
because this is taken from our bonus episode, like our Patreon feed, right? We first came up with.
It's like a flipped version of that. Yeah, the Patreon one has a black base, and this one is a cream base. But yeah, I think the branding's all consistent. This is a little bit of Ethan behind the scenes stuff. And on that note, there might be merch in the future. Not gonna say exactly when or what it is, but we want to explore that.
I am pretty confident there will be something next year.
There will be blood.
There will be blood. I think there will be something next year. If I guess the more we've talked about doing hats, we might do those, maybe not, but at the very least you could probably expect like pins or stickers or something like that. Yeah, exactly. But we're gonna be you can finally tell everyone how much you love our podcast by wearing something branded with our podcast logo.
Other than dressing in weird menswear that people will go, why are you wearing that? Other than that, no way to direct support.
We should have a pin that says "Ask me about style and direction." That's a pretty good one.
Honk if you like style and direction.
Yeah, bumper stickers. You'll expect to see bumper stickers.
Yeah, honk if you're horny. Oh God, I'm so horny. Just beep. If you haven't, you can watch. I Think You Should Leave.
That's right. Just a quick plug for I Think You Should Leave. It's on Netflix. Yeah. Very funny.
Did we talk about Auntie Donna yet? Yeah, we weren't.
I haven't actually seen Auntie Donna.
It's okay.
I heard a bunch of people say that it's the next I Think You Should Leave, but based on the previews, it did not look anything like that.
No, I think
it's. Around to it.
It's I don't know. You'll have to watch us on stream for our little comedy discussion on that when we finish it all up. But yeah, I Think You Should Leave is probably one of the best things I've seen on Netflix. Besides the Bible, okay, guys, don't get it wrong. So today we do have, other than just updates, we do have a menswear topic for you guys that we're going to discuss, and it comes.
Believe it or not,
Ripley.
It comes.
The hands will come. But it comes with a typical Ethan essay that focuses on probably one aspect of this whole thing. But today we are talking about belts. belts and trouser closures. Yep.
And just regular closure. Sometimes you need closure.
From what?
Like anything.
Like life.
Like relationship, marriage. I'm gonna keep naming different types of relationships: brothers, sisters.
Hey, how do you say brother
Parents.
in Spanish?
I don't know, but I do know Monfrere.
I don't know why I know that.
I don't know why I know that. I took 6 years of Spanish.
Oh my god. Yeah, I guess we're also playing Arrested Development today.
Yeah, check out Arrested Development also on Netflix.
That's right. We're not sponsored by Netflix. We're just
everyone says we're sponsored by Netflix, but we even more pathetic. We're doing it for free.
So, I'm not going to deny it. Belts have a long history in the world.
Is that your intro?
That's my intro. But, okay, so, the belts are an interesting thing because, and I say that, I'm sure you could probably meme or collect every time I've said, blank is interesting, because I say that a lot on the podcast.
You just think things are interesting.
Yeah, that's where the show where I talk to interesting people. But, when you get into menswear, there's a lot of, opinions about belts, just like there's a lot of opinions about fedoras and hats and basically everything that we talk about. But you kind of need belts. I think everyone out there typically, especially if you're like a regular guy who's not super into menswear, you'll wear a belt, and what I've seen is that belts tend to kind of as you get into menswear, you kind of start wearing belts less and less, right? Like some vintage guys like wearing suspenders, right? Because that's how I got into it, right? Like the only way to get that clean drape where your pants will not sag, because no matter how well tailored your trousers are, it is going to shift as you walk through the day. Like your weight fluctuates. The gait of your walk, your little like move a little bit.
Things change.
You'll pull up, you'll adjust, and so for a while, at least for me, I used to wear suspenders with everything. As you guys know, I got into vintage menswear. As a way of getting into classic menswear, because before that I wore like Zara, and of course I wore belts with that. But I wanted that clean look that you see in like Lawrence Fellows illustrations, right? And so the only real way to get that is suspenders, to have it hang from your shoulders, suspend from your shoulders, I should say, and not from your waist. And so no matter what, after that moment, like I got everything with suspender buttons on it. Even if they had belt loops.
I did the same thing for a while, and it's like I wanted everything to have both suspender buttons and belt loops because I liked having the option. But no, there was a while where I would like wear suspenders with everything because I was just like, they make more logical sense. Like they held your pants up better, but
the thing is they do. They
do,
like,
but it's because it ends up being a kind of like fussy look sometimes if you're wearing suspenders all the time.
Yeah, I think that the Dapper Bros from Dapper Day, when even though they are mainly wearing clip-ons, and yeah, it is a costume for them, they're not really dressing like that in real life. It still has that effect. Like wearing a fedora can still be like, all right, you're wearing a fedora, bro.
Yeah.
But they don't get me wrong here. Suspenders do work way better with any trouser. Well, some jeans, the LVC 1933s have brace like rivets or whatever to put on your suspenders on.
Yeah.
But like they just, even if your weight fluctuates, or even if like say you lost weight but you still want to wear your pants, if you wore a belt, it would scrunch up, right? But with suspenders, they hang, they're suspended in midair. So even if it doesn't fit your waist entirely, it'll still look extremely clean when you wear them. And that was like, that's why I convinced myself, and you go to the tailor and you're buying vintage, maybe you got to get them hemmed, maybe you got to get the pants let out, take it in, and you're like, hey, add some buttons in there. So it's really easy, to do that kind of thing. And you might be saying like, oh, well, belts have character. That's why I had a couple of pairs of suspenders. I think we went to, this is not a plug, but we I think it was Darcy Clothing. Spencer brought me onto that.
Yeah. It's like an English website. They do like a lot of period costuming stuff, but they have some like I don't know how they are now. I mean, we got ours a couple years ago, but when we got them, they had some like really nice pairs of suspenders. What is that like? What is that closure called? Where it's not like the leather loops, it's just the 2 leather straps. You know.
I always called it like V, like it's like or V or a Y. You know, and I remember this is I'm not sure if I mentioned this in the Gangster Squad one, but a couple of guys in Gangster Squad have that type of suspender, and that's why I like the Darcy ones because they were a lot different. You know,
they were. It's
the typical like
those. You tended to see those a lot, like that type of suspenders a lot in like, I don't know, like pre-50s, I guess. I don't know,
In my head, it's very like 30s,
Mm-hmm. And it's a little bit more clean, and so than the other kind.
Yeah, then like the loop ones. So yeah, I did that a lot. I wore those with like J. Crew ones because in my head I wanted to look like a 30s illustration or dress in that style, even if it was wearing modern clothes. And yeah, that was just kind of what it was, right? But eventually I did think, oh man, I'm looking a little stuffy because I did like that look, and especially notice where like you take off the jacket, you're wearing just a tie, you have like your sleeves rolled up. It's a very like kind of just very slouchy kind of a look, with suspenders. And even though it's really cool, I did say, okay, yeah, it's kind of dapper because some people wear that to dapper, like they just wear that, and I was like, okay, I don't want to look like that anymore. And you would think, okay, maybe that's where belts come in, right? Like you're okay because it works for everyone. It's still easy. I mean, like you can't really find suspenders at H&M or J. Crew, right? Like you have to like. Maybe now Jake or some places, Drake's probably had them for a little bit, but like they're still not common. That's why we had to use Darcy at English one to find them,
or at least to find like good ones.
Yeah. But then I got into like menswear and like the Armory, and what did you see on a lot of that stuff? Side tabs, and that was like, oh man, that's good because even though it's not a belt, it leans closer to like the kind of clean look of suspenders, where there is no a strip of leather going around your waist to like bisect your body, I guess, and it's really clean. The transition from trouser to shirt is really nice. It doesn't matter if it's a t-shirt, doesn't matter if it's a turtleneck, doesn't matter if it's a dress shirt. It looks nice, and I wore that all the time. You see pictures of like ring jacket suits. Drake's had them, even though side tabs for them had like prong instead of like the regular like pull
adjuster,
tab. Yeah. And there's also like Dax adjusters with like the elastic and the button thing. It was just nice, and it's one of those things where, yeah, even though it's not as secure because you're just pulling fabric and it could loosen up over time, that's kind of like a mark of like a custom garment or like a higher class of menswear thing. And I'm sure now like you go to like the J. Crew or whatever, or I look because I don't think J. Crew.
I don't think we had
Suit Supply.
Yeah,
they had
J. Crew didn't have any side tab pants.
I think H&M had some too. Banana Republic had some, I think. Oh, I do. Jay has one where I got like a blue striped linen pair with side tabs, and I gave them to Jay. I don't know if he still wears them. They were nice. They kind of remind me of like workwear because it's like a dark blue stripe, kind of like not like a, what do you call it? Ticker stripe? No. What's
hickory? Not hickory stripe. Wabash stripe.
Yeah, it's kind of close to that. But the thing is like the rise was so small, it kind of like diapered up when you pull it too high. Diaper up, bro.
Diaper up.
There's a clip.
The diaper boys.
DU.
Yeah.
That's the merch right there.
Expect a lot more diaper boys stuff coming in 2021.
Expect that, yeah.
Yeah.
But I like that. I wanted to kind of fit in with like the menswear crowd, and so I got them on like our stuff pants have side tabs. I mean, that's just kind of their. I don't think they ever did belt loops. They always had side. That was like their house model, I think.
I don't remember seeing anything with belt loops.
But
and I mean, a lot of
side tabs.
I have side tabs too. A lot of a lot of like custom places don't like doing belt loops, right?
I don't know what's that, but I think they have it as an option if you want it, because you can't we'll get into belts, which is the bigger topic of this one in a second. But it's like it's like a mark of like a custom place or bespoke or made to measure. Again, like Stofa has ready to wear now, and they have side tabs like I mentioned, Drake's. My Hurtling pants, which are fairly newer, I got them like last year. They have side tabs because I got them there, and that's kind of like my modus operandi, as I call it, and I'm the only one who says that. But if I'm getting a new pair of pants, if I'm getting a suit, it will always have side tabs. It's just something that just kind of makes sense, it's like, why not? You want to signal that these are cleaner, that these are not something you could get off the rack, because they need a little bit of tailored, a little bit more exact measurement on the waist to make sure they don't just fall off, right? And that was always my issue with like ready to wear side tab pants,
Yeah. And I mean, maybe it's because I only have one pair of side tab pants.
The Stofa ones, right? Yeah.
The Stofa ones, but I still always prefer a belt or suspenders, just because I feel like they never actually, like, they never stay where you want them to, and it's it's the same with like belts and suspenders, but yeah, I find myself having to adjust my pants a lot less when I wear those.
Well, I mean, it's true. I was gonna say, I think I'm just, maybe just because I like them, I'm just so used to adjusting, like, the height of like pulling my pants up, and if that clean drape and that the no break, right? Because we like having a very minimal, kissing break, or was it
we love when our breaks kiss.
Yeah, I'm horny for it. But yeah, I think obviously it's either going to be suspenders, which not recommended, if you're a regular modern guy, but that's where belts come in, because it is, you can pull it to how tight you want it so it doesn't move, and I think that is why we had a small discussion on the stream a couple months ago, like one of the early ones, where Aldrich does say he prefers having a belt, and Aldrich is a guy who does like having a very clean line. We talked about this with like jeans and trousers, where if anything makes it kind of break, it's just not good, and I can see that. And so yeah, let's talk about belts now. And I think not only are they more secure, but they're just so easy, because you can find them anywhere, and they work. Most trousers out there in the world, whether you are buying vintage Polo Ralph Lauren that we like, you're buying J. Crew, doesn't matter what, you're probably gonna have belt loops, unless like I said, unless you're going custom. And that aspect for me has been like, sometimes you just have to wear something easy, because like I don't really want to wear suspenders all the time, and a lot of my side tab pants are more like suits and tailoring, and I wear separates more, and even though that is tailored, my separates tend to go on the more like vintage side or like the pre-owned side, so they have belt loops, because that's just what's common. Like you'll thrift something, and you thrift a pair of cheap or military pants. That's one thing too, where they don't have a lot of side tabs other than Gurkhas. You're gonna have belt loops because people wore belts. It's not like
they were like all mass produced too.
Yeah, and that's kind of like, that's the appeal of it, right? Like, I guess if you want like a regular, I don't want to say, if you want to look like a regular guy, just wear belts. But
it is. I mean, it's I don't know. Like, I like belts for that reason, not because I'm like, hey, I'm a regular guy, but it's like, even though it's technically less, like, I don't know. I like all just like the visual break that you kind of get with the belt. I like the break between like the jacket and pants. I think it makes things look a little bit more casual in a way that when you're wearing like side tab pants, or just like, I don't know, I had like a pair of like fucking like old school, like, reproduction work pants that had no belt loops and a cinch back, and I never liked that either, because I felt like the no belt loops, like the no belt, like just the something's missing. Something was missing with casual looks when you don't have a belt, at least for me.
Yeah, it's getting to that casual mindset is interesting. The visual break, because I guess I'm just so concerned that when I wear a belt, it is bisecting me, and I'm shorter, you know. And in my head, I didn't want to look like when I wear a t-shirt and a trouser. I didn't want to look too much like I don't know, like a '50s dad. You know what I mean? Like we see like like the movies. You know, the guy with the New York accent. You know, he's like grilling something. He's wearing a t-shirt, like a white tee tucked into some high-waisted Hollywood slacks, and the belt there. I mean that look now is kind of cool because you see like Scott Fraser Simpson does stuff like that. You know, but at the time I was like, this is too schlubby to me. You know, I think I had to like find a way to make it my own. And whenever I wore like a t-shirt and trousers, I wanted it to be a little bit cleaner. That's just why I opted for side tabs. But I think now, obviously, if you've been listening to the pod or reading the blog for like the past 3 years, you'll know that Spencer and I have gotten a lot more casual, a lot more, I wouldn't say schlubby, but a lot more slouchy. And I think a belt kind of helps in that way. You know, to absolutely. Me, it has like a workwear appeal, right? Because like in the 30s, right? Yeah, like you would probably wear a lot of the the suspenders for most stuff, but then when you're casual or pictures of guys like working with like the like denim workwear pants, chinos, they're wearing belts, you know, like that's just kind of what it was. And some did wear suspenders too, but it also has like like I said, a very mid-century casual appeal. You know, like in my head, the Hollywood waist trouser, maybe not the white t-shirt, but more of like the camp collar shirts, kind of loose open spear point collars.
And I mean, going back to like the Hollywood waist is like for dress pants. I love that like silhouette that you got in the 30s and 40s of like super wide leg, but like really, really, I don't know, like a snug waist. Like I think in your article you call it the snatched waist. But especially that with like a Hollywood waist trouser, you have to have a belt for that look.
Yeah, because it really does emphasize like that aspect, and I think I write in the article. Maybe I should add this back in if I haven't already. But like a side tab, even if you pull it, unless you're very skinny, it doesn't visually cinch your waist. It can, if you have a small waist, but a belt literally will do it. And of course, there's a little bit of like that pucker when you pull the belt a little bit, you know. But that's maybe the appeal, right? It's kind of like you know, it's kind of sloppy. It's kind of like why actually over quarantine, I past like 2-3 days, I actually wore lace ups recently, which is a big deal because I normally wear loafers, and apparently I suck at tying laces. A lot of people have called me out like, oh, your laces are sloppy, and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, you know, whatever. But it's like that idea where like, you know, that's why I prefer wearing loafers, but maybe that idea of like this is a little bit whatevs is the appeal of it, you know.
I mean, in your article you have that like Ralph Lauren ad where the dude's wearing the houndstooth jacket with the big work shirt. And like, you know, those again, like it's such a great like Ralph Lauren look, the big khakis with like a too long belt, like that is
just like cinched up, so cool. You know, like puckering at the thing. I think a person called it like a paper bag waist, like when you know you just kind of scratch the top of it, which is probably where I got the snatched waist thing from. But yeah, there's that image, right, that everyone always reblogs. I've seen people like, oh yeah, guys in Harlem in the 1930s, and I'm like, that's not 30s, but it's like late 40s, early 50s. There's a guy wearing like salt and pepper like fleck like trousers. It's very high waist with drop loop, and it's a very dropped loop look.
Well, so I'll have to look at the photo again. Do those pants even have belt loops? Because I think he's just like,
oh, that's right. It might not.
I think that's true. He's just wearing like pants without belt loops, but he's still wearing a belt. Just like kind of, I mean, it looks great. It still looks really cool.
Yeah. It's one of those things where like, I don't think anyone today looks that good. You know, I think some guys back then just had it. But you know, like it just looks so cool that you can't get that same vibe from a side tab or, take a shot, suspenders, right? And obviously a belt is more secure. It's easily adjustable, depending again on your waist size and where the particular holes are punched. You know, sometimes like, I mean, I've had this issue where I'm like in between belt holes, right? Like I just, and you just gotta like suck it up and then hope, you know, you drink some water, go take a shit or whatever. So it fits better, you know. But yeah, I'm kind of into that, and that's why as I went on, kind of being more enamored with like the 50s, and of course as you get later on, like the 50s and 60s, more guys wore belts. Like you didn't have a lot of suspenders and stuff. You see that in a lot of like Ivy. Even though suspenders are Ivy like heyday pictures, it's a lot of separates. People wearing like military chinos, denims, go to hell pants with belts with their jackets. So as my style has moved in that direction, it kind of makes sense where I would wear a lot more belts.
And I mean, you can have a lot more fun with belts as accessories than you can have with side tabs, obviously, which are like nothing. They're just the pants. Or suspenders, which are going to be... You could have like a fun buckle or something, but no one's going to see that. Or the suspenders, which are just going to be covered up by the jacket. Because I don't have a belt collection, but you have been getting a lot of like old like Western belts, or you have like a lot of slide buckle belts, which I want one now, but those are pretty good too. And it's just another thing that you can't really get with the other types of like pant closures, whatever, fasteners.
Yeah. I mean, that's why like a lot of guys got into Gurkhas, because like you want that like clean waist, but then you don't want to wear a side tab. You get the Gurkha, but that requires having a literal new pair of pants, right? And then with belts, it lets you have a way more character, and we'll get into it. That's what we're doing now. We'll get into it, but I don't know where I saw it. I mean, it's just obviously, the vintage aspect. We're gonna have I think one of our next episodes. I don't know if it's the next one or the one after. It's gonna be about what we've learned or how vintage has poisoned our taste in menswear.
Yep.
But it was one of those things where like a couple of guys in vintage, obviously they wore suspenders with suits, but sometimes there was like barbecues at the backyard of someone's house, or you go to like some people for Dapper Day want to do more casual look at, but like you would see a lot more variance in the belts, and I think I've included a couple of like illustrations or advertisements of 40s belts, and they're kind of crazy. Some of them have like really weird ornate like leather. I mean, the thing was back then, like I've seen a lot of these stuff, the leather was not great quality, but that's why people had
it was stamped with cool designs and stuff.
It would it's like one of those things where a lot of shoes back then do say cordovan, but it is not shell cordovan. They just calling about like the color of like dark burgundy or something. You touch them in real life and it's like, oh, this is shitty leather. And it's like, it like old shoes kind of suck, unless it was made like by a good maker. And I'm sure there were belts like that too. But in general, like you had like a lot of braided stuff. You had like a lot of like deco stamps on them. And another thing too that like essentially like the belts have a buckle that you can change out. And a lot of modern ones too, unless your belt maker like has sewn down the thing, because I think some belts that I have like the button, so like you can just pop it open and change out the buckle, but like my belt from Uniqlo does not let you do that, which is a shame. But
I mean, speaking of buckles, like so I think most people when they think of belt buckles think of like the like chunky fucking ones. Big cowboy ones, the big brass belt buckles. And I mean, we'll probably get into those in a little bit. I personally think those are cool, but the dressier version, the really, really elegant, like Art Deco ones, I love those. I know that there's a specific, are they like, what is it, like machine tooled buckles or something like that? I know there's a specific name
engine turned. Engine
turned. There you go.
Yeah.
But, no, those are like my favorite things from like I guess like old belts that you don't really see outside of like Ralph Lauren now.
Yeah, it really sucks that you don't get that thing. It's like I mean, our big complaint overall is that no one makes them like the 30s and 40s anymore. But it's the buckle thing is really great. Obviously, I definitely prefer like a thinner, like a more elongated buckle. I'm not a big fan of square one, even if they are a small, like it's not a big square buckle. I've seen like vintage ones that have a square buckle, like on like an inch and a quarter width. Not into it. I think that having it elongate horizontally just makes it look more streamlined, which is why like most engine turned ones that I like are like the deco style are elongated and everything. And like, yeah, you get that cool aspect of it. Like the deco designs are really nice. You see that a lot from like the Bryceland stuff. I actually think the Bryceland's belts, like the buckles, are vintage because they say buckle not included. But like the Sid Mashburn pictures that I have on there all have like that kind of deco thing, the deco style to them. And you just don't find that. There's also a lot of other engine turned belts or sterling silver ones that are elongated that also feature other stuff too. Like you can go on eBay, look up like 1930s belt buckle. You see like they have like the school logo on it, the school insignia, like, or like it just says like F University, like Fordham University on it. Some of them have like a Chevrolet symbol.
At work, we have like a really cool one from like the 1910s that says UCLA on it. But that thing is nuts because it's for a belt that's like less than an inch wide. I don't know anyone that has something for that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you guys also have that Aztec one. Did that sell?
I think that one's sold.
Damn. That's still super cool. Aztec or Mayan, whatever the native design on it, it's really great. But like, yeah, but you don't get that from a regular thing, right? That's like, and as I was like looking at these pictures, and the reason why I mentioned this in the article is because I at Benny's at Reese's Vintage Pieces, I got like a belt. Like I think it was at the Christmas party. I think you were there, where he was like, "Oh, I got a whole bunch of dead stock belts." He just like put this like garbage bag on the floor, and I like looked through it, and he's like, "Oh yeah, these are all like size 28 to 30." And I'm like, "Oh well, that's not gonna work." And like that guy Blake was looking at some stuff, but I did find like two that actually fit me, and they barely do. And yeah, one was like this, and I put in the article. It's like a very thin. It's like an inch wide, dark brown like calfskin or glove leather. It's really nice with a gold rounded. It's not quite oval, but it's not quite circle either. So it's a little bit elongated belt buckle. And here's the thing: it extends. It has like a little like spring on the inside, so like the buckle can actually pull forward. So that's why it fit me, even though the belt itself is kind of small, But I love it. It was so thin. And I wore that with everything. I also got like a black one. But I don't really wear black. Obviously, if I'm wearing like an outfit that requires black shoes, I tend to wear like suspenders or side tabs because I like the cleaner look. But I got a black belt one that's very thin also. But yeah, I had that for a while, and it started to like kind of like it's like what 70 years old or something, 60, 70 years old, and so even now, even though I've conditioned it, it starts to like kind of fleck and kind of tear a little bit at the stress points. And so I'm like, shit, I gotta like look at some stuff. And I had a conversation with our friend Ryan Cecil, the illustrator, and I remember this very clearly. This was like last year. He's like, Ethan, where do you get your belts? And I'm like, oh, I've been wearing like one belt forever. Like I got it dead stock. It's like slowly starting to go apart, but like I don't really need another one, and I'm kind of scared for the day that I do. He goes, oh, that's cool, because I'm about to get an alligator belt. And I'm like, nice, those are cool. And also you see that a lot in vintage stuff too. I don't know if a lot of it was,
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how much of it is real, but there was a lot of like alligator skin leather goods.
Yeah, you see that in like I'm not sure if I was able to find pictures, but I do remember seeing it somewhere where guys are wearing that with like Hollywood waist pants. It's so cool to me. The texture is great. Again, another thing you can't get from like a regular old suspenders or side tabs, like that visual texture. And the alligator, crocodile leather, whatever, lizard belt is kind of like, it's a little bit 60s too, because you see that there, but it's, to me, in my head, it's always been like an 80s, 90s thing. Like I think of like Frasier, I think had one.
I could see that.
Yeah. Ralph Lauren has stuff like that, old ads, I'm pretty sure. But it's also very like Americana too, right? It's kind of preppy. Like
I always think
a lot
that
of
it's
pictures.
like I mean, maybe it's just because I'm thinking about those belts, but yeah, it's like I always associate those belts with like bold look, like 40s, early 50s kind of stuff.
Oh yeah. And I think that a lot of like, it has Americana casual feel, and Sid Mashburn clearly loves wearing, because like a lot of the pictures I have of that are in there of him or his staff wearing that with a slide buckle, like the engine turned buckle. And it's just, I think after Ryan said that to me, like he bought it, which is cool, but I'm like, oh fuck man, that's sick.
Now I gotta get one.
Yeah, but the thing is, they're so expensive, right? And I'm very lucky to have found. It says genuine alligator. Still don't know what that means because I don't know what genuine leather is. But I do have one from Ralph Lauren that's a little bit wider. It's like an inch and a half width. So we'll get into we'll get into width in a second. But I later got like an 80s 90s one, which is has what I call like the spaced out scales. Like if the scales are too small, it doesn't look right to me. I think it's got to be like it's each section of the belt should be like one scale, like or one piece of that like skin bump of like lizard reptile leather. I don't know what you call that, the embossedness of it. But when it's like bigger and it takes up like each one's like a rectangular section of the belt, that looks cool to me. It just looks so nice. I got one of those ones, and yeah, when I wear it with like a high waist trouser with pleats, it does remind me of that very 40s 50s bold look thing. I think that's what Bryceland's likes. I don't know who makes their belts, but they have those. And yeah, it just, I don't know what it is. It kind of like reinvigorated my like love of belts, because before I just like I had one and I just wear it with everything. You have like one brown, one black, and you wear it. But like now, when you are able to have variety, I'm not like I'm searching all the time, but it's cool to like to have that, right? Like it makes it a little bit different. It makes it more intentional. It's like why neither of us can have just one pair of shoes. It's kind of, it's like a very similar thing where once you realize how much personality and how much interest this can make for you, then it's like add another thing to collect,
Exactly.
So maybe this is a bad idea, but like on that note, with the embossed stuff, I think that's why Western belts are cool, because they have inherent character.
That's what like I am looking for. Like if I'm gonna be buying a belt, it's gonna be like a really cool it's gonna be a really cool Western belt. Like the one that Adam got with like the silver tip, that's the kind that I've been looking for like a year and a half now, or something.
There, I don't remember. I think that's just because it's like it's easier to find like belts with character with Western stuff, because obviously Western stuff, you like the kind of more exotic leathers. You get like the kind of fun elongated buckle. Sometimes there's a little bit of like extra detailing on it, but I think I just started looking at like vintage Western belts, and I just kind of kept looking until I saw one that was thin enough to work with my style. That's how I found like some of the alligator ones, and yeah, I mean it's currently having like a moment right now. We've talked about like how
absolutely.
the 70s is getting into the thing, and of course that comes with the Western wear, and like Il Michio, which is a leather maker that the Armory works with. They have like a Western belt. The belt itself doesn't have like anything on it, but like the buckle, like the buckle and the belt holder, like the little loop that it goes through on the belt. It has like a kind of like Western detailing on it. I know a lot of people like Silver Ostrich. I think it's another Italian belt maker that you see like Milad wear. And Nicola, and they look really cool. I love the juxtaposition against the trouser. I mean, I think some of them have drop loops, or they kind of affect that kind of bold look, and the Western kind of just fits in with it. I don't think it's exactly like as cowboy as they're trying to make it seem, because again, like I said, a lot of the illustrations I found or the advertisements do have like a Western flair to it. I mean, people back in the 40s still loved Western stuff. Like that's just they just loved it.
Cowboys were big,
Cowboys have always been big. Like those kid novelty sweaters always had like fucking like horses on them, and Gab Western shirts and all that kind of shit. But yeah, no, they're great. I think one I didn't get to write in the article because I wrote the article like months ago. This has been something that's been in the pipeline for a little while, but you should check out Brighton. I told the guys in Discord this, but I was at like a vintage, what's it called, Second Street, a vintage consignment store for like more higher end or more brand name stuff. I found a thin woven belt that had like a Western buckle, and it had little like Western studs every so often on like the belt hole, like little decorative stuff. And I looked it up, and it's very 80s, 90s. I don't think the quality is that great. Obviously not. Yeah, I think they're women's, to be honest, but they look cool. If you can find one that isn't like two-tone, and everything, I think it's a good source to kind of experiment with that Western belt look, and hopefully wherever you are, not the United States, but if your flea markets are open, maybe check out some of the Western belts and everything.
And I mean, speaking of ladies' belts, I guess let's get on the subject of belt width.
Let's do it, because that's a big one.
That is a big one.
And by that we prefer smaller width.
we want big one, smaller width.
That's right.
Yeah, no, this is I said, speaking of women's belts, because a lot of our friends, because not many places make the like 1 inch belt that we're looking for, which again you'll hear more about this in the upcoming episode, was kind of the standard, or what you saw a lot in like ads and illustrations in like from like the 30s up, from like the 1910s up until like the 50s or 60s.
Yep.
It was like a really, really thin belt. It looks great with Hollywood waist. It looks great with high-rise pants. But unfortunately, no one makes thin belts for men anymore. So myself included.
At least not in a place that we would regularly find it.
Yeah, like I know that Scott Fraser Simpson makes them, but it's hard to justify buying one belt and then paying international shipping and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I'd rather make it part of a larger order. So that's what me and a lot of our friends have done. We buy women's belts.
I remember our friend Andy, who not believe it or not, but he commissioned a bespoke suit from his friends in Vietnam, and he got like Hollywood waist, like he got drop loops on those trousers, and he wore he's like, hey guys, don't sleep on Forever 21. First off, I don't like fast fashion, but he did go to Forever 21 and buy like a women's belt that was like an inch wide, and it looked cool. I even think that one of the guy, Matt Woodruff, Jay Muser, I think he's wearing like his mom's equestrian belt, which is even thinner than that. It's kind of a fun novelty thing that, if you can pass that on. But yeah, thin belts just work. I personally think it looks better, because if you're concerned about it, that bisecting your body, and minimizing that, I think a thin belt works. I will also say that traditionally dress belts are thinner than casual belts, but after the 70s, when everything got wider, a thick belt for like jeans is like 2 inches, and then like a thin belt for like a dress belt is like 1.5 inches, which is still kind of too wide. You see that from like, even at the Armory before, or like Sid Mashburn, like a lot of them are like 1.5 inches. Maybe now it's different. I'm just thinking like back when I would go to the mall, like my belts in like Banana Republic when I used to work there. I used to buy like, I think I bought a belt there just because I needed one. And it's like 1.5 inches, but something about like 1 inch at the most, 1.25 inches. That's like at the very most, and it's still a little too wide. You gotta like just do 1 inch, or even
it is super clean. And I mean, this is again a very vintage look, but vintage pants also tended to have like a lot smaller like belt loops.
Yeah.
And so when you have like a thin belt loops, and it's just like a perfect fit, that always looks so clean, because the other thing is not going to be moving around. It's not going to be moving around.
That's the thing too. Yeah, that could be it. And I think that's one reason why I think some guys aren't into it when I mention this, because when I wear like a really thin belt with some of like my regular pants, it does move around because it's not held in by the smaller loops, right? Hey, I mean, I tell you a few, man. Dave, make some belt loops, make some drop loops, baby. But no, they are, they just look so clean. I just wish, it's one of those things where I wonder if I like it because I just don't see it enough. Like I wonder back then in the 40s where some guys like, I want a thick belt. Fuck this thin belt business. I don't know if that's what happened.
And I mean, obviously they did have thick belts back then, but the ones that you saw more often and the ones that we like are the thinner ones. Yeah.
There's a lot of variants. I mean, like we said, like countless times, when classic menswear is the mode of dress for everything, there's always going to be variations. I'm pretty sure I have seen. I think there's a picture of like Gary Cooper or Will Powell wearing like a thick belt, with like a tailored outfit, you know, or and by thick I mean like 1.5 inch, width, and not like the traditional like 1 inch.
I'm not sure I'm gonna be able to find this picture, but there's a cool picture of like a Broadway producer in the 20s, and he's wearing a 3-piece suit with it looks straight up like a fucking like H&M, like 3 buckle or like 3-prong like belt, peeking out under his vest. But that thing was like 2 inches wide at least.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But that's if you want to dress like Ethan and Spencer, which you don't have to obviously, but thin belts are kind of where it's at. So to be fair, I do have a thin belt, which is again a women's belt from J. Crew. But my other belt that I've had since like freshman year of high school is like a workwear style belt from Target, which is, I don't know, very unassuming. It's like 2 inches wide and has like a brass buckle. And I really like that for casual stuff, but yeah, for dress stuff, always go with the thin belt. Yeah, exactly. I mean, do you want to get more belts?
I do. I mean, like I said, like I was a minute ago while we were recording on eBay looking at Western belts and stuff like that, but unfortunately, I'm just not finding much that I really love, and that's been the issue. I don't know. Maybe I don't know what it is, but I'm just not seeing what I want from this selection.
Yeah. I mean, I think I still need like a thin alligator belt in black, because I've been wearing black a lot more, black jeans, black loafers, and so I think I need that. But right now, for terms of brown, I got a lot. I would love to get another slide belt so I can start like wearing, swapping out buckles and everything. I did also get a buckle that is like, it's got turquoise on it. It's kind of for a more thicker belt, but unfortunately it doesn't work on my thicker belt because the buckle is different. Like it's a middle piercing one. Like it's not it doesn't use a prong. It's just I don't know how you describe it. This is an audio medium, but it just doesn't work with any belts that I currently own. But yeah, I mean the Brighton one's cool. I don't actually wear woven belts that much, other than like that Western one. I think the woven belts, they're always like, at least from what I see, they're always in like a too light of a brown, so it doesn't look good. And I think we didn't really talk about this, but I think overall we prefer darker color leather belts.
Yeah, that's my issue with my belt from J. Crew. It's not a tan, but it's definitely a lighter brown.
Yeah.
And it's been fine while I've had it, but there's been a lot of times where I'm like, I wish this belt was a little bit darker.
Yeah. It's like shoes. Yeah, you're gonna probably get more wear out of it if it's darker, obviously. And so, yeah, I mean, I would be interested to see if there's more. My alligator one is like a size 32, and everyone should know, you should buy a belt that is one size bigger than what you are. That's just how it is. I don't know who told me that, but it's true because that thing is marked a 32, and I am a 32 waist, but I should have gotten, or if it was 34, it would be a lot better because I can barely get it on, Yeah. I try and stretch it out as much as I can every time I wear it, but it's just a little uncomfortable to wear it too often. But that's why for a little while Uniqlo had a thin belt. It was called Italian leather like thin belt. And I bought that as a replacement for my 40s, the one with the little spring inside. That one was really good. You see that a lot on my stuff. And then Kiyoshi gifted me a slide belt like from Ralph Lauren that he doesn't wear. And then I replaced the Deco buckle with one of my Deco buckles that I found on eBay. But yeah, I mean, I would love more. I mean, I would love to try Scott Fraser Simpson or Il Michio, but
yeah, maybe we can go in. We'll both get a belt. I'm looking at it right now. I'll get the brown belt, and you can get the black patent leather one. And then
there we go.
We'll split shipping. Yeah.
There. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where we don't need them, but like I know eventually we're gonna need more belts. Like it's just gonna happen. But yeah. Also, I just realized we didn't get to talk about it. We didn't talk about cinch back trousers. Maybe we could just briefly talk about that.
Oh yeah, I mean I think cinchbacks are really cool, but I still want belt loops with them. Like in terms of like casual pants, one of my like I don't know if I had to come up with like one cut for casual pants, if I was designing a collection, I guess it would be based on like wide leg like work pants with like cinch backs. I think that's like I love those. Stuff that like Mr. Freedom kind of like makes versions of, or you'd see like a lot of like European workwear. But I love cinch backs. I think they're really cool.
I think they're cool too. I was able to luckily get one on eBay for like $50, like almost dead stock. No, not much fading on them. Like gray rayon wool flannel.
Yeah, those
pants.
are really cool.
Yeah, they're close to not fitting now because I got them like 3-4 years ago because I still went to OC to get them. You know, that's when I worked. That was I was in college when I got getting my MBA, dude. That was a long time ago. But I got this.
But that's a very like Ivy thing too.
Yeah, cinch back flannel trousers and chinos are very Ivy. They have belt loops. They're flat fronted. But I don't know how. I mean, I guess they're fine because I guess like flannel is nicer. But like my cinch back, 1878 denims, the pantaloons, the Levi's ones. Sitting in that sucks. Like it just feels weird in like my lower.
I'm wearing.
back.
I mean, these also have like a much higher rise, but I'm wearing my cinch back like dungarees right now, and I've never had an issue with that.
Maybe it's because the LVCs, like the 1878s, have a lower waist, so they sit. They're kind of weird. If they were like higher, maybe it would feel fine. Or maybe just.
I think that's what you need with cinch back because that can be an issue, but as long as it has like a higher rise, then I think it works.
Yeah. I did write about them, so maybe I'll include that as another link somewhere in the essay to check that out. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ways for you guys to have closures of your trousers. I think it's a detail that you should definitely look at and be cognizant about because they do have different vibes. I mean, like we said, suspenders cleaner, side tabs cleaner. Belts have this kind of casual, easygoing nature to them that kind of work with everything and probably work for most people if you're dressing up. So yeah, definitely take a look. And again, like the essay says, if it's got like reptile skin and it's a thin belt with a engine turn buckle, that's good. You can wear that with everything. Cool. I think one cool thing with a belt is that you can wear it to subvert stuff. Like you wear a casual or quote casual belt with like the lizard skin with like a flannel trouser, makes that cool. You can wear a dress belt with like jeans, seems cool too. You know what I mean? Like it's just another way for you to add details and interest to your outfit that you normally can't get from side tabs or suspenders because they are by default not seen and are meant to make you look clean. So
they are heard but not seen.
Oh, they went to the Milford Academy, huh?
Yeah, they did go to the Milford. They were Milford men.
Milford men. That's right. Well, guys, thank you for listening to this episode.
Go check out Arrested Development season 1 through 3 only.
You know, if we want to make them mad, we can just kiss, right? Like,
that'll really show them. That'll really teach them a lesson.
What lesson? I don't know. It's just it's just something I want to do. You know, I used to want to be in the theater, but I decided that it's not for me. But no, theater is my love, and I can't let it die.
I'm gonna rewatch that show. That's my only New Year's resolution is rewatch Arrested Development, and I'm probably gonna do it in the first month. So good.
What happens when it's over?
I don't know. Then I'm just gonna go to sleep for the rest of the year.
Got it.
Yeah,
okay, that makes sense. You should bring Baby New Year with you to watch the show.
I'm going to show Baby New Year the show as he ages into an old man over the course of 12 months.
That's right. And then dies of COVID.
Dies of COVID 20 in 2021. He's going to get COVID 20.
That's right. Oh, no. Yeah. Again, if you guys want to check out the essay that I wrote, it mainly focuses more on thin belts and Western belts as opposed to just a generic belt article. But check it out. It's in the description. It's also on Street Exprezzo. You can find me on Instagram at Ethan M. Wong.
I'm Spencer DSO.
Don't forget to follow the Instagram, Sound Direction, all spelled out on Instagram. Again, plug in the Patreon. Lots of good stuff coming up. There's always good stuff happening. Too much good stuff, actually, for AMPM.
Yeah, too much.
But there's a lot of cool guys in the Discord that provide way more insight to stuff than just me and Spencer. Don't listen to just us, but do that for the podcast. If you want to talk to them, just go on the Discord. You can do that at patreon.com/style and direction.
And if you don't want to chip in $5 but still want to help out the pod, leave us 5 stars on iTunes. That really helps us out.
Yeah, boost us up. Diaper up.
Diaper up.
That's the new thing. Oh man, am I gonna have to put that in one of my suits? Because I just put on my suit "Don't Get on Mic." And by the way, big ups to MJ and Matt for producing the pod. But I'm scared that I'm gonna have to get something with diaper up.
That's gonna be. You're not gonna be able to sell the suit after that. If you get diaper up on the inside of the suit, you are not gonna be able to sell it if you ever want to.
I'm gonna have to burn it. That's from return from whence you came. Shout out to our Sadcast fanatics, our top tier patrons: Seth Peterson, Eric Hall, Austin Malott, Shane Curry, Philip Gagard, and Audrey Jessica. They're really great. And if you want us to read your name, contribute $10 if that is worth $10 to you. We say it every time we're on. Every time we do a podcast, every time we do a stream, we try or at least on the Saturday streams, we try to thank them. That'll do it for us today. We'll see you again in 2 weeks with another menswear topic. Bye bye.
Bye bye.